Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes, and we're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Friday, November 9th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This week I watch all my NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't went and checked out our new website at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and DraftKings cash lineups. Hey, everything you need. Truly, we're a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. Hey, so check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. NBA has been going very well. Optimizer's been doing good. Definitely don't miss out. So, hey, how you doing out there, Jeremy?
What's up, man? Still sick. Still trying to get through it. Instead of seeing my ugly face on this video, I'm going to share the site so everybody can see what we're working with on the site. Here's our game preview, so you can take a look at that. So every time I talk, I'll be basically giving them the information from the site.
Cool, man. Hope you feel better out there. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much ready to get into this. Couple things before I do. First thing first, if you don't mind, please take that quick second, click the like button down below for me. It helps me out. I really appreciate it. Jump in the live chat. Any questions you got, hit us with the questions below. So real quick, man, before we do get into this slate, bro, these past 3 days for NBA has really fucking pissed me off, to be honest with you, man. It's been so tough. 2 days ago, we had Damian Lillard absolute busted on us, worst game of the season. We lose by what? I think it was like 1.5 fantasy points. Last night, man, people just couldn't make shots, ended up losing by 2 fantasy points. Tonight, I don't even know what to say about tonight. Tonight is honestly probably the worst DFS slate I've ever even seen playing NBA DFS in the past few years that I've been playing. Tonight was just absolutely ridiculous, to be honest. And I mean, hey, it's a little bit frustrating. All you could do, stick to the process no matter what. You can't deviate from the process. That's why they always say bankroll management is the most important thing if you're playing DFS. So, yeah, man, sorry, I just had to express my frustration a little bit, and I'm ready to get into this slate if you're ready to go or if you got any comments for our viewers before we get going.
The thing is, man, is you and I talked on the phone before we jumped in the video, and that's what we're talking about. Is this one thing you say all the time too? Is this is not a sprint, man. This is a marathon. You got to last the entirety of the season. God, do I really sound like Scottie Pippen right now? That's how I feel like I sound like Scottie Pippen. But you gotta stick to the process, and when you don't cash, and it's because a guy takes the second half off and decides to feed somebody else. That doesn't mean the play was bad. The example I will always use is Kelvin Benjamin last year when he was absolute chalk. He was like 65% owned in tournaments and like 90% owned in cash games. And he had, like, on his second catch, the dude tears up his knee and he's out of the game. And everybody's like, oh, it's such a bad play. No, the play was right. We just don't have any control over what these guys do on the court. So stick to the process. The process put you on the right plays. And especially for the cash game customers, man, stick to the bankroll management strategy. You can't move all in all the time. You move all in, it's a recipe for disaster.
Right. Yeah, and that's bro. Like we keep. I mean, people always, I mean, I understand everybody wants to play the cash games, and I play cash games too. But ever since we got this optimizer, bro, it's been crazy, and it's been winning a lot of money with the optimizer. So, I mean, I know people come and check out the site and want to get the cash game line. So make sure you're taking advantage of the optimizer. The thing's been going absolute wild. I have plenty of members that use it every single day, and they've just been telling me the great success that they've been having. So make sure to take full advantage of everything that we offer, full advantage of our content, full advantage of our optimizer. Definitely play our cash games every day. Hey, do a little bit of everything. So yeah, you ready to go?
Let's get into it, man.
All right. So the first game that we will go with is gonna be what game you have up right there?
Charlotte at Philadelphia.
Okay, so we'll start with that game then. So we got Charlotte going into Philadelphia, 225 implied total, and Philadelphia is favored by 5.5 in this game against Charlotte. So go ahead and get us started with the Charlotte side of things, bro.
So Kemba Walker's been playing extremely well, and then I'll introduce this little tool that we've got. It's gonna continue to get better in the next few days. Player cards will transfer over, and you'll actually be able to click on the player's name and pull up their player card in the starting lineups page as well. You can't do that in the optimizer, so we can hop over the optimizer and start checking out these guys. But let me get this tool right here. This is a tool that we use every single day, and as our database grows and this tool grows, the information will get better. So basically what it does is it breaks down what they're averaging over the last 5 games. So, for starting guys, the information is quite a bit better, obviously. So you see over the past 5 games, Kemba Walker is averaging 31.67 minutes, 22.67 real points, 5.67 assists, 1.33 steals. The thing about Kemba Walker on this slate is we know the splits with Walker when he goes on the road. He's a much better play at home. But at 8,600 for his recent output, this seems like a very fair price in this particular matchup against Philadelphia. Nicholas Batum, man, I don't know what's going on here. The guy's very inconsistent. This guy's has triple-double upside. I should say triple-double skill set. He does. He can rebound. He can pass. He can score. It's all there. I would avoid Cody Zeller 100%. I don't see this is a Joel Embiid game for me. Not going to go there. But a guy that has been playing really well, and we could pop over and pull him up on. Actually, I got to go over to Fanduel to pull him up. Is Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Kidd-Gilchrist, if you look at his game log, the guy's averaging right in the neighborhood of almost 30 minutes per game. So he's a really good play at a depreciated price. But I'm not looking to attack or target anybody from the Charlotte side in this one other than Kidd-Gilchrist, because he's a dirty player. What I mean by dirty is he's a grunty player, real gritty player, and Kemba Walker.
Yeah. So, bro, I like it. I think after this game, I'm gonna flip over to screen share and go to the optimizer as well, so I can kind of show what I'm looking at as well. I think that's a really good way to kind of display where we're at. But yeah, so real quick, on the Philadelphia side of things, I mean, you gotta like the obvious guys. You got Ben Simmons. The guy's been playing well all season. Has a chance to get a triple-double any single night. The guy can't shoot, but he still gets his. And we know that about Ben Simmons. At this 9.7 price tag, though, he hasn't really shown upside on this kind of price tag. He got 64 the first game, and after that, I mean, he's barely been over 50. So I think he's strictly GPP for me. But you definitely got to look at Ben Simmons. I mean, the guy, like I said, triple-double any night. And then let me see who else. I mean, JJ Redick. The thing, I just don't like what's going on with Redick and Fultz, the kind of starting one half, coming off the bench other half. But it really hasn't mattered too much for JJ Redick. I mean, he's their best shooter. The past couple of games, he's kind of been down a little bit, and the shots haven't really been going down as much. So I don't know. He's kind of streaky for me. JJ Redick GPP. If you asked me a week ago, I probably would have played JJ Redick in cash. But right now, GPP for me. Small forward Covington. Covington is a guy, he has some upside. He's a streaky guy though, up and down. Covington's a GPP play. Guy I played yesterday and he worked out for me. Saric. Saric's definitely, I mean, this is the thing. I'm not trying to just sound repetitive, but these Sixer guys are hit or miss. That's really, I mean, the JJ Redicks, the Covingtons, the Sarics. These guys all have upside, but they're all definitely hit or miss. And that's the kind of, I don't know. But 5.2, still very fair price tag for Saric.
We've seen this, though, year in and year out with Saric, right? The first 2 years in the league, we've seen this. It's like the guy he plays really well in the middle of the end of the season, and he doesn't get no minutes in the beginning of the season. It takes a while for him to get into a rhythm. I think that he's going to start coming back into this. I think he's a good play at 5,200 for tournaments because of his upside. I like the play.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I like him as well. Like I said, I played him yesterday in cash, and he worked out. I got him on his good game. What did he get yesterday? He got
32, right? Or 29?
28. So I definitely take that. But he's just up and down. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm kind of like about. And then at center, you got Joel Embiid, one of the best centers in the league. The only question is, do I really want to pay 11,000 for Joel Embiid? I mean, he's definitely been up and down. He has 60-point upside, yeah, but he's also, the past, like last two games, 37 and 38 fantasy points. If you're paying 11,000 for somebody, and they get you 38, 37 fantasy points, your night is done. I mean, that's it. Plain and simple. There ain't nothing else to say about it. So for me, I do like these pieces on the 76er side of things. I just think if I was going to pay it between one of the two big names, I would go with Simmons, save the 1,300 discount from Embiid, and then you can look at the Saric, Covington, and JJ Redick as GPP plays.
Ben Simmons is the guy for me on this team, man. I think I watched a lot of that game last night, and Ben Simmons he does everything, man. He's really aggressive right now too. He's taking it he's trying to get the ball, and he's taking. I mean, there was a few times where he just took off, went coast to coast, and just laid it up, man. He's looking to push the basketball, and I think that's part of Embiid's problem right now. Is Embiid's not? I don't think they're not a good fit. They're kind of transition from pick and roll basketball to Simmons really pushing the pace. But yeah, we can move on, man, to the next one.
All right, so just so you know, bro, I'm screen sharing too, and I'm just kind of going through the optimizer as well because everything's looking good right now. We got our stuff functioning pretty well now. So, I mean, I think this is the best way to do it so we can show what we're actually looking at. So the next game we're going to go to is going to be Washington going into Orlando to face the Magics. This game has a 218.5 implied total, and Washington is favored by 2 in this one.
I don't know what to do with Washington. You watched the game the other night, and the Dallas game, right? You watch that game, and it's like, what is going on with Washington? It looks like a team that just doesn't like each other. That's what it looks like to me. Like there's a bunch of guys on this team that just don't like each other. Dwight Howard has been a cancer in numerous spots he's been in, and I don't know if Dwight Howard kind of brought the black rain cloud with him, but this team, I don't know what to do with it. I mean, they're not playing well together. There's guys on this team that clearly don't like each other. You turn on ESPN today, they're talking about trade Bradley Beal out of there, trade Dwight Howard out of there, get Otto Porter out of there. Oh, you can't get Porter out of there because you just gave him a $100 million contract. I don't know what's up with this team. They really look like a bunch of guys who either just got paid or angry they haven't got paid yet. I'm not really looking. I'm going to take a wait and see approach with Washington until they either start to play better, they move some pieces, or do something. But John Wall at 9,900, I'm not excited to play him in this game. Brad Beal at 8,500, not excited to play him. If you want to play the narrative and take Dwight Howard going back to Orlando at 6,900, I can't argue with it because he's very fair priced for what he can actually do. And you see his minutes per game are about 28.33 right now, so he's getting plenty of minutes. I just don't know what to do with this team, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, they are all over the place for sure. And there's actually, I mean, on the Orlando side of things, I mean, there's a couple guys we could definitely check out. First thing first, a guy that's been playing pretty well is Evan Fournier. The guy in his past 4 games, he's got you at least 30 fantasy points. The problem now is, his price jumped, almost 1,000 in just the past, 4 or 5 games. And so it's like, now the price is 7,000. Now you need 35 just for value. And, it's creeping up. So GPP, I think that he's a solid play, especially we're talking about Washington is getting their ass whooped by everybody. I mean, Dallas is not a very good team. Orlando, if they whoop, I wouldn't be surprised if they whoop Washington's ass tomorrow. Fournier's a really good play. I mean, a guy you can look at the small forward spot. You could possibly look at where do they have Ross at? Oh, no, they have Ross still at shooting guard. But Ross has been getting some minutes as well. Ross is somebody you can look at for GPP. Aaron Gordon, I mean, 8,000, well, 7,900, 8,000 pretty much. He's had 3 really solid games, 37, 37, and 41. But, I mean, on the season, he's only averaging 31 fantasy points, and we need 40 just for him to hit value. And he's barely shown us 41 as like a high upside. And so that means on this 8,000 price tag, we're not getting upside. So Aaron Gordon, strictly GPP for me. Lastly, Vooch. I mean, this guy, we know what he could do. It's all about minutes with him. Last game, I'm actually surprised. He got 34 minutes, but only 29 fantasy points. Usually, when he's out there, he definitely gets his. But it was a tough matchup against Drummond. Drummond absolutely dominated that game. I'll go right back to the well with Vooch. Nobody ever plays this dude, and you know what? He's a really good player, and he has 50 fantasy point upside. So Vooch is kind of a GPP play. You can look at Aaron Gordon GPP, and then Fournier as well, and that's really where I'm at. Throwing a little bit of Terrence Ross.
Yeah. Now, Terrence Ross is probably the best play for them if Jonathan Isaac is out again. It sounds like they're going to wait until he's 100% before they play him. So high probability that he misses. Ross has gotten at least 27 minutes in each of the last 3 games with Isaac out. So that's probably my favorite play on that team. But I get the Vooch play.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, this whole game is more GPP for us. I mean, we're talking about Washington crazy up and down. Orlando's another team. They're actually not bad. They've been the guys we're talking about have been consistent. The problem with those guys is their price tag's up. That's the problem with the Fourniers, the Gordons, and the Vooches. But all have upside for sure. So we'll move on to the next game. The next game we're going to move on to is going to be Detroit. Detroit going into Atlanta to face the Hawks. This game has a 225 implied total, and Detroit's favored by 4.5 in this one.
So I think there's some good plays in this game on both sides, actually. But I'll start with Ish Smith. I think Ish Smith continues to be a good play. I like him tomorrow at $5,100. Price is up a little bit, 21.6 in his last game. A couple of down games here, but Ish Smith seems to be benefiting from his minutes are strong too. I mean, 24, 26, 28, and you're getting him at $5,100 against a team that's very weak defensively and is giving up a lot of points. So Ish Smith's a good tournament play. I will never play Reggie Bullock. Langston Galloway, I'm not going to touch. Small forward position, they don't have one as far as I'm concerned. You can talk about Glenn Robinson III, Stanley Johnson all you want, but to me, this is where the action is at. Blake Griffin, $9,800. I mean, the 29.5-point game, we know Andre Drummond absolutely dominated the game against Orlando. So you could see the fall off, and it's not like it was he just went out there and dudded, right? The other guy took over, Drummond. Before that, 59.6 and 50.5. I like him at 9,800. You said it best the other night in the video when you explained they're using this guy like a point guard. They really are. He's doing everything for them. So I like him. And then, of course, Andre Drummond, 10-2. But if you're going to compare it to Embiid, I'll take Drummond and his ability to get me 55 or 60 tomorrow against Atlanta and Alex Len. I'll take Drummond in that situation all day for tournaments. Back-to-back 50-point games, almost got you 60 twice. So, this guy, this guy's a double-double machine. He's got 20.10 upside, 20.20 rebound upside nightly. That's what he brings to the table. It's just a matter of, does the opportunity present itself for him to fully ball out? But he's a career double-double guy as well. So Drummond is probably my favorite play in this game, followed by Blake Griffin.
Yeah, and then, on the Orlando side of things, there's a couple guys you can look at. First,
Atlanta.
What happened?
You mean Atlanta?
Yes, I said Atlanta.
Oh, I thought you said Orlando.
Oh, no, I said Atlanta. Sorry. So the first thing we're going to look at, obviously, the rookie, Trae Young. For a rookie, you got to understand he is going to be up and down. He's a rookie. It's what's going to happen. But, hey, this guy does have 50 fantasy point upside. We've seen it, several times already this year. It's all about if he's shooting well or not. The guy's, he's playing well though, and he's getting a ton of assists. He's dropping dimes for sure. As you can see, in the past 5 games, he's got at least 8 dimes every game. That's 1.5 points. He's had 10, 15, 10. Plus, he's scoring the ball. I think he's a really good play tomorrow. I don't, especially if he's going to have, Ish Smith, small dude, even Reggie Jackson. Both of those dudes, to me, are a little bit more offensive point guards. And they're not the best defenders. I think Trae Young can have a solid game going against Detroit. So he's an obvious play you want to look at. And then you can look at Kent Bazemore. He's been playing well. The thing about him is his price is starting to rise a little bit. At this price tag, you need about about 34, 33, 34 for value. And I mean, he's going to always get you that 28, 29 for the most part, but the upside's there. He's just a little bit more GPP for me. And then I'm trying to figure out what to do. Last game, Prince came back. He wasn't hurt anymore, but they started Bimbre. And this guy, Bimbre, is pretty good. If he's going to play 32 minutes and start, and then I think I definitely would look at this guy. He's a really good defensive player. He gets those defensive stats. I mean, you can tell pretty much. And he does a little bit of everything. 5,000, 25 for value, very fair price compared to Prince. Prince is going to still get his minutes, but at this price tag, you need 35 for value. It's like Prince is very, very inconsistent. And that's really where I'm at. I'm not really liking too many of the Atlanta things. Alex Lynn and Dedmon, they're pretty much just split in time. So for me, it's Trey. Honestly, for me, it's Trey Young, Bazemore, and then if Bimbre is going to start again at 5,000, I think he's a fair price tag as well.
Omari Spellman. This dude was in my core the other day. I like this guy. And the reason I like him the most is, number one, he's talented. Number two, his price is cheap. He got an increase after a 44-point game. But you got Drummond, right? You got Blake Griffin, and you got Alex Lynn and Dwayne Dedmon. Both these guys are notorious for getting in foul trouble and having a hard time staying on the court. I like this guy, Omari Spellman, as a tournament play tomorrow. I think he can see, and you can see here by his game log, right? He's playing at least 20 minutes. He's playing at least 20 minutes almost every night out. I think this is a good spot for him in a tournament.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't even really paying attention to this guy when I was looking right now, and he got some minutes and he put in work. So definitely, I think that very fair price. All you need for value, friggin' 21, 22 points. So yeah, for sure, bro. So you ready to move on to the next game?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the next game we're gonna look at, it is going to be Indiana going into Miami. We don't have an over and under yet. No Vegas line. We're waiting on a ton of injury news. So yeah, I mean, you get the Indiana side of things, and I get the mess of the Miami side of things.
It's all good because for a while I was getting like the Knicks, and I keep getting stuck with this Indiana team. And look, do yourself a favor. Indiana's backcourt, the point guard position, fade it. You want to take a look at Victor Oladipo? Fine. I can understand that. Victor Oladipo finally gets the big game and balls out for 62.7 against Philadelphia. You can see he's kind of been building to it. 43, a 55, a 43. The Houston game, you can throw that out. That game didn't have any offense in it. It was kind of like the Oklahoma City game tonight for Houston. It was just a slow, low-scoring game. Complete opposite of what Houston's trying to be. But Oladipo, I could see in this one, depending on the injury situations, I could see him dominating the basketball again. He's their true point guard. If you watch him play, this guy's he owns the usage. The other, Tyreek Evans is a guy too. I don't understand what they're doing with him. If they should just throw Evans out there and let him start and let him get 25, 30 minutes a night. This 21-minute nonsense. I mean, this guy's a much better player. It's very hard for him to get a rhythm. The problem is just the guy's knees, and I understand that. But that you can completely fade their small forward position as well. The action is here at the power forward position with Sabonis. Price is up to 6,500, but this guy's a 30-point consistent player pretty much for the most part, man. 29.3, 33.1, 34.7. We know he had a monster game before we launched this tool, so it's not in here yet. He had the monster game against New York. But Sabonis is a guy I'll look to play definitely against this Miami team. Coming off the bench, he won't get the matchup of Whiteside. But Sabonis, Oladipo, I'll pretty much keep it at that and move on.
Yeah, so I mean, on the Miami side of things, there's a couple guys you can look at. So you got Goran Dragic; he's questionable. I think that he is going to play. I was reading the injury news, and they said last game he was very close to playing, but he decided to sit out. So I expect him definitely in the lineup tomorrow. We talked about him the other night. He's a guy. He's not going to kill you. You can play him pretty much every single game. He's going to get you right around 30 fantasy points. This price tag, you need 32. And we know that Dragic has 40 to 45 fantasy point upside. So he can get you 6, 7X on these prices. I think that he's a really good play in an up-tempo game against Indiana. Shooting guard Magruder, he killed me the other night. The dude just couldn't shoot for nothing. He played 37 minutes. I was happy. He got his 10 rebounds, 4 assists. But I think this dude was 2 for 14 or something like that the other night, bro. He killed me. But imagine if he just hit, 4 or 5 more of those shots and he got you 12 to 15 points, he would have got a 6X. So he was a really good play that just let us down the other night. I'm going to go right back to the well with Magruder. They really like this guy. They're giving him a ton of minutes. And then you go to the man, Josh Richardson. This dude, he's emerging right now as their best player on the team. Definitely. He's playing very well. Before the San Antonio game, he was balling. He scored 27 real life, 32 real life, 31 real life, sitting steadily in the 40 fantasy points. The price tag is starting to catch up, but it's still fair. At this price tag, you need about 37 for value. He's averaging 32 on the season. I just think this guy's a really good player. He's probably a little bit more GPP for me just because the price tag is up a little bit. But then you look at Justin Winslow. This guy's a baller. They like to have this guy handle the ball a lot as well. And he's been getting steady minutes right in the 30s on the past 3 games. He's going to definitely get those. And he's a guy that does a little bit of everything. He fills up the stat sheet. You know what Justin Winslow reminds me of, bro? He reminds me of what Batum used to be, because we were talking about Batum, because Batum's been letting us down, and he triple-double upside any night. He just missed a triple-double against Atlanta. 5,600, I think he's a very fair price tag as well. I really like Winslow in this spot. Winslow's going to be one of my favorite guys to look at on the Miami side of things. Olynyk's been, up and down. They're sometimes getting minutes, sometimes he's not. 23 against Detroit, and he, had a solid game, 27. But then the 2 games before that, 12 and 13 minutes. No, thank you. Too inconsistent. And then you can go to Whiteside. We know what he did last game. Had a monster game, 73 fantasy points, 29 points, 20 rebounds, 9 blocks. Bro, he just missed a triple-double with blocks by 1. Monster game. You can't really – we know Whiteside's up and down. We know that. He had a good game a couple games ago against Sac as well. So I guess, maybe we could say he's picking it up a little bit. But he had a horrible game against Atlanta, 21 fantasy points. I think that Whiteside definitely is in play tomorrow, just a little bit more GPP. So for me, I'm looking at, I'm pretty much looking at all their starters. I think Winslow starts actually at the power forward now. But cash-wise, Dragic and Winslow, GPP, you look at Josh Richardson and Hassan Whiteside. And I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, for sure.
That one, that just has a mess right now. Everybody's hurt, But so the next game we're going to go with, it is going to be Brooklyn Nets going into Denver to face the Nuggets. This game has a 211.5 implied total, and Denver is favored by 9.5 in this one.
The guy that's been playing extremely well for Brooklyn is Spencer Dinwiddie, and it's the guy that I'm going to look to play again tomorrow night. This guy's played extremely well, and his minutes have been pretty consistent, 25, 27, 22, 29, so that averages out to, close to about 25.5 minutes. And, throw out the Houston game, and this guy's almost a point per dollar fantasy play, right? He's right at a point per dollar fantasy play. So $5,300, 7-game slate, fast tempo game. Dinwiddie's a guy I really, really like tomorrow night. It's one of the guys that's on my list to make sure I target tomorrow night. D'Angelo Russell, I can't figure out what's going on with Russell. Going to take more of a wait and see approach with him. I think he's getting outshined by Dinwiddie for sure. Dinwiddie's definitely playing a lot more solid basketball than Russell is, but Russell has that upside. And tomorrow night's a good night at 6,400 to maybe put him in a few lineups because of the tempo that Denver's going to play at. in this one. Shooting guard, you can, Karis LeVert's price is getting a little too expensive for what I like to see. His price has dipped a little bit, but he's kind of stayed in this $8,000, $7,500 price range. And he's really giving you about 4.5x is what he's giving you. Not enough recently, but he gets a bit of a boost going against Denver because of the points that will be scored in this game. Everybody's going to get up and down the floor and run. So this, LeVert's a decent GPP play tomorrow at shooting guard. Small forward, Damari Carroll, $4,500. The thing with Carroll is when this guy actually plays, and you can see from the game log, when he actually plays, the dude's a very solid basketball player, but I don't know what's really going on there. Jared Dudley getting minutes for them. Joe Harris is the guy that you'd want to play in tournaments tomorrow. $4,300. This guy's outplaying he's playing above his ceiling, that's for sure. But Joe Harris is another guy who's getting a lot of minutes. I do like him in this matchup as well. And you can't leave out Jared Allen. Look, there was a point late in the game of the night for Denver where Jokic had taken one shot. He had taken one shot, right? And I know we made a joke about it the other night in the video. We were saying that he got like 46 fantasy points and he only scored 4 points or 5 points, but he had 10 rebounds and 9 assists. Something's going on with Jokic. He's either going to explode tomorrow night or he's going to keep, or it's something that there's something that's there that we're not seeing with the way they're playing basketball. But Jared Allen, you might be able to put him in there tomorrow night at 6,400. Every time I say don't play Jared Allen, the guy comes out and has a solid game and reaches value. So, take that for what it's worth. But Brooklyn, this is a really good team that's got really fair pricing to get exposure to a very high over/under tomorrow night, and you could pretty much look at 4 or 5 guys on this roster to target tomorrow night for your tournament lineups.
Yeah, and then looking on the Denver side of things. So there's a couple guys that are playing very well, but first guy obviously Jamal Murray playing very, very well. Coming off the game where he almost scored 50 against Boston. Kyrie got all butthurt. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so he's playing well, but the thing you got to understand, though, is his price tag starting to get up with it as well. Just for him to hit 5 times value, what we need for cash games, you need 37. So, the price tag is really getting up. So, for me, Jamal Murray, strictly GPP. Shooting guard-wise, I don't know what's going on with Gary Harris. He hasn't really been, getting there the way that, for a while he was getting us 30, 35, almost 40 fantasy points a game. And then, that was earlier in the season. And lately it's just been right around 20 to 25, occasionally a 28. So I don't know, what's really, really going on with him, but he's not giving me the upside that I need on this 6,800 price tag. Upside I'm looking for is 40 fantasy points, pretty easy kind of thing in him. And also, they got a couple other guys that are taking some minutes. Another guy, this guy Monte Morris, he's getting some minutes for them. Coming off the bench. We seen last game he got 26 minutes, and he's been getting steady 20 minutes. And I think that's taken away a little bit from Harris as well. Really, the guy that I like, I'm looking at Paul Millsap. Paul Millsap is 5,600. I understand the guy has a little bit of run bad, but Paul Millsap could get us 25 fantasy points every single night for sure. 40 fantasy point upside. 5.6, this is just too cheap. And I think that Paul Millsap is an extremely, extremely good play tomorrow for sure against Brooklyn. And the reason that his price is down, though, is obviously the minutes have been getting taken away by Lyles. Lyles has been getting some minutes, and he's been playing very well. So it's crazy because, last year you would always see Denver – they would play their starters 38 minutes. Now they have some solid backups. So you're seeing Gary Harris getting some time taken away. You're seeing Paul Millsap getting some time taken away. And then you're talking about Jokic. Man, bro, I don't know what's going on with this dude, Jokic. I understand people have bad games, but, this 17 against Cleveland. Cleveland is horrible. 17. Memphis, 18. Boston, we talk about how much we love sinners against Boston, and he only got us 29 fantasy points. That's just disappointing. So I honestly, they're obviously we have to look at some guys on Denver at home going against Brooklyn. Jamal Murray just GPP. Gary Harris, GPP. Paul Millsap, you could possibly look at for cash. Trey Lyles, GPP, and Jokic, GPP. So for me, pretty much this whole team is all GPP because they're all in a timeshare or they're all just fucking up right now. The only one that's really playing well is Jamal Murray, but the price is up. That's it for me, man.
Hey, bro, so I just looked at something while you were talking, right? The thing I looked at was defensive rating. And you remember me talking about earlier in the year where I was talking about Denver being a much better defensive team?
Mm-hmm.
I think what's going on here is they're second in the league in defensive rating behind Boston.
So they're slowing down.
They're slowing down, man. That's what's going on. Is they're just slow. They're slowing down. There's less possessions in the game, and this is a team that is. I mean, just my guess here, based off what they're doing, is they're trying to play like Golden State, and Golden State, they can play defense, create turnovers, long rebounds, get out and run. Maybe this team just hasn't figured out how to run with what they have yet, and they're so focused on playing defense, it's just shorting the game up for them.
Yeah, no, but you know what too though is like the team overall is playing good. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But you know what you got to think about too is every single position I just went through for Denver, there's a solid backup. Pretty much, except for point guard. Every other position has a solid backup. And so, like I said, this Monte Morris guy, he's getting 20-some minutes a game taken away from Harris. Small forward just all over the place for them. And then, you got Millsap and Lyles pretty much timeshare. And then Jokic, I understand he's a man, but this dude, Mason Plumlee, he's a good player as well. And he's getting minutes also. So it's like they're pretty deep. And I think that's cutting in fantasy-wise to some of the starters for sure.
Mason Plumlee was a starter before he went there too. I mean,
Right.
people forget that.
Yeah, no, he's really good. So we'll go to this next game. The next game we're going to look at is going to be Boston on the second end of a back-to-back. They got lucky coming back tonight in overtime against the Suns, going into Utah to face the Jazz. This game has a 209 implied total, and Utah is favored by 3 at home.
You've said it. I've said it. Ricky Rubio is not a good defender. This is not the same Utah defense that we've seen in the past. Don't be afraid to play players in this game. And so you got to start at Kyrie Irving. The guy's been on fire. I think his price is still cheap. I think it's still a buy low opportunity. I don't quite know if this is the game for the buy low opportunity, but FanDuel has a problem with its pricing structure because of the way they release the slates right at lock. There's no way of telling what a team does on the front half of a back-to-back. So pricing pretty much stays the same, which it did at 8,500. So it's still a buy low opportunity. I can't guarantee he's going to get you 61, but I do know he'll get you between 40 and 60 tomorrow night against Utah, even on the second half of a back-to-back. So you got to like him. Jason Tatum had a very down game tonight for the first half. Marcus Smart ends up starting over him in the second half. 17.6 fantasy points. Look for him to rebound from that, but his price is still too expensive, I think, for what he's been delivering. He's not getting you tournament value at 6.6. So I'll full fade Tatum. Small forward position, Gordon Hayward, I get it. The narrative, he's going back to Utah, but are they going to give him more minutes because he's back in Utah? That's just the thing with Gordon Hayward. He needs minutes. This guy, 25 minutes for him, he's a shooter. Shooters have a hard time getting in rhythm. So if you break down that, 4 quarters, 25 minutes, he's basically playing 6 minutes a quarter. And they're bringing him back in different spots. So it's not all like he's getting a guaranteed 6 minutes in the first. He's got overlap in there between first and second quarter as well. So that's the thing with me with Hayward. Is he going to get minutes? I think he's going to be a somewhat popular play tomorrow night. I mean, he could be in the 12 to 15% ownership percentage tomorrow night just because people like to play the narrative. And he's going back to Utah. But other than that, man, I'm not looking to really get too deep into Boston tomorrow night outside of Kyrie Irving. That's really the most solid play. But you'll talk about, I'm sure, you got the Jay Crowder narrative as well going against his old teammates as well. But I'm not going to play Al Horford against Rudy Gobert. That's really it. Kyrie, man, 8,500. I think it's still a buy low opportunity.
Yeah, so I mean, on the Utah side of things, obviously Kyrie's a really good scorer, but he's not a very good defender himself. I really like Rubio. Great price. Rubio has upside. He has 50 fantasy point upside. We've seen him hit 37 in 2 of the past 4 games. He gives you a solid floor. He's going to play minutes. He gets you a lot of assists, some rebounds, and he's usually going to score you around 13 to 15 points a game. I like Rubio on these prices. I think that Rubio is a really good play going against Kyrie Irving. Mitchell's a solid play as well. Problem with Mitchell is his price tag is just crazy high, 8.8. And the thing in Boston, they have some really good defending guards. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, both are very good defenders. That's who Mitchell's going to see. And, I just don't really like this spot for him. So Mitchell, you could throw him in a couple of GPP lineups, but I'm not going to really go too crazy with Mitchell. Small forward, Ingles all over the place. I'm not going to mess with the guy, Joe Ingles. But Crowder, like you said, I was already thinking about it myself as well. You got the narrative going back to his old team who traded him away with Isaiah Thomas to Cleveland. He probably had a little. He was probably a little bit bitter over that. We know that for sure. And Utah likes this guy. They've been playing him, and I can definitely see Utah, playing some small ball. They've actually been playing a lot of small ball recently. That's why Derek Favors' minutes are down, and Jay Crowder, they can put him at the 4 against Tatum at the 4, not a problem. So I definitely think this is a good spot for Crowder. 5,000, very fair price tag. Power forward, we'll go like I just mentioned, Derek Favors. The guy has actually been playing well. 29, 33, 21, 25 fantasy points. He's playing well, but look at the minutes, 23, 18, 24. Man, I want to see him play 28 to 30 minutes, and he would be absolute monster on these prices. And then lastly, you go to Rudy Gobert. He's just too expensive for me for a guy that doesn't really – he's not really a scorer. I understand he does score a little bit, but he's not really a scorer. On this price tag, we need 43 for him to hit value. He's got us 42 one time in the past 4 games. And before that, it's 33, 27, 29. No, thank you. I'm not going to pay 8.7 for Rudy Gobert. I don't really care for him in this spot. We always talk about it. We do like centers against Boston. That's our thing. We do like that. But I just don't like this dude's price tag for a guy that he's not really the best scorer. I really like Ricky Rubio. I think he's probably my favorite play on the Utah side of things, and then some Jay Crowder and GPP as well.
Hey, bro, I'm going to keep it real with you. To me, you know who the best 2 players in this game are? The best 2 players? Jay Crowder and Marcus Morris. I think Jay Crowder and Marcus Morris are the best 2 plays in this game because of their price tag and what they've done, their recent performances. These 2 guys are probably the best 2 plays in the game. I do like Kyrie at 85. I do like Rubio. Kyrie, not the best defender, but I think the 2 best plays who bring you all the upside of rebounds, steals, blocks, points scored, etc. Marcus Morris, Jay Crowder.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the last game. Last game we're going to look at is going to be Minnesota going into Sacramento to face the Kings. This game, we don't have an over or under or a Vegas total or anything like that. I'm guessing this probably has something to do with Jimmy Butler. That's what everything with Minnesota has to do with Jimmy Butler now.
Plus, it's a 10 o'clock game. Usually the line's out late on these games.
Get us started, bro.
Derrick Rose, period, point blank, end of story. This is the old Derrick Rose, man, and I really hope that this guy doesn't get hurt because this is the Derrick Rose that won the MVP. This is Derrick Rose. They said last night on the broadcast that this was the first season since that terrible ankle injury he had that he hasn't had to spend an offseason rehabbing. He actually conditioned his body and got in crazy shape, and they're talking about this insane workout that him and Russell Westbrook did all offseason together. This guy, 6,000 is too cheap. And the thing about it is you look at this game on the surface, you think, oh, it's Sacramento. Don't want to play Sac. This game's probably going to blow out. But, hey, Sacramento is taking it 2 teams, and at least they're making them competitive games. They're not getting the doors blown off of them. They're staying in basketball games late. And if all they got to do is keep this game between 10 and 12 points, and Tom Thibodeau is going to play guys. We already know Jeff Teague not playing tomorrow night. Already been ruled out. So Derrick Rose for me at 6,000. This guy is a lock. To me, he's a lock tomorrow night. Move on, Jimmy Butler. We don't know what's going to happen with him. I think Jimmy Butler's price is just too expensive for the spot. I just don't see him getting you. He needs to get you 60 points tomorrow night really to reach tournament value, and I don't think this is the spot for that. I think Derrick Rose is starting to take this team over a little bit. Derrick Rose kind of like, you look over here on the right side and you see this big mess between Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler, and where does Andrew Wiggins fit in the mix? And then over here on the left-hand side, Derrick Rose just putting in work, right? Derrick Rose just putting in work. So I'm not sure if I want to get Jimmy Butler. Karl Anthony Towns, there's a little bit of a narrative here because I believe that Willie Cauley-Stein, also a Kentucky guy, so there's a little bit of a narrative there. Towns is starting to play okay. He's starting to play okay. He didn't have a great game against the Lakers last night, but for whatever reason, he just stopped getting in the post and just went back to his comfort spot out there on the perimeter. I think tomorrow night's a good spot to load him up at 9-6. Whenever he's below 10, I think he's a good tournament play because of the upside to get a little bit of exposure to the guy. And tomorrow night, it's a late night hammer. Load Towns in your lineup. He'll probably be pretty low owned. Get some exposure to him for sure. And, like I said, Tom Thibodeau team, these guys are going to play minutes, man. He's going to play his starters a lot of minutes. That's just the way their rotation works. So the other guy that I really like is Andrew Wiggins, man. Wiggins at 6,700. This guy's been phenomenal lately. I know you see these two dips here. We're at 24 and 27, and our game log unfortunately doesn't go further than that. But Wiggins is really starting to play really well. He's kind of like over there with Derrick Rose. The two of them playing basketball, and then they've got the drama with the other guys. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Taj Gibson. Again, on the broadcast last night, they went into detail about what Taj Gibson did in the offseason to help his perimeter game, the addition of the three-point shot. And you've seen it. Taj Gibson is playing a lot like Al-Farouq Amino does. He's out there. He'll set a high pick. He'll kind of rotate the three-point line, and then he'll either look for the kick out, or if somebody goes to the basket, he'll try to dive on the rebound and get the rebound and put back. A lot of times he's getting you 3.2 points on a possession because he's getting you a rebound for 1.2, and he's getting you the putback. So his price is very, very fair at 5,300 for what he can do. He can definitely get you 6 or 7x on that price tag. I like this game tomorrow night. I think there's going to be a lot of people that avoid this game thinking it may blow out because they just think it's Sacramento, and I think there's some really good plays on the Sacramento side as well.
Yeah, so on the Sacramento side of things, like you said, they've actually been playing very well as a unit. The wins don't necessarily show it, but they've been playing well. But their Fanduel prices definitely reflect how well they've been playing. For me, there's really only 3 plays that I like. I would say 4, but the 4th one is very borderline, and I'm probably not going to play that play. So, I'll just quickly go through it. First, you got De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has been playing very, very well this season. The guy's definitely taken a step forward, from last year, and I like him in this spot. The only problem is he's 7,500. He had a monster triple-double against Atlanta, and that just skyrocketed his price. So just for him to even hit cash value for us, we're going to need 37, almost 38. And this guy is not a guy that's going to get you regularly 37 and 38. But obviously he has the upside. We've seen it. So for me, he's strictly GPP based on the price being high. But I do think he's a good play. Then it's the same thing with Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's 7,400 now. You need 37 for him to hit value. He could definitely get 37. He's shown us the upside. In 3 of the past 4 games, he's got you at least 34. But he's not going to regularly get us 37. He's a guy that's very scoring dependent. So, I think he's strictly GPP as well, but he's a good play. And then the last guy that I'm really liking is Willie Cauley-Stein. I've played him earlier in the year. He's a little bit less. Now the price tag's 7,300. You need about 37 for value, and he's a guy that 40 fantasy point upside, just like Fox, just like Buddy Hield. But are they regularly going to do it? No. So that's why I say, all 3 of those guys are really good plays in this game, but they're a little bit more GPP for me. And then lastly, you got the guy Bijalika. I like the guy. The guy's solid, but his price tag's up, and he hasn't been doing. He's had a couple really good games where he's went 40, 50. I think he had a 50 fantasy point upside if I'm not wrong. But look what he's been doing lately. I mean, he's up and down. 37, awesome. 27, 9, and then a 14. I'm not going to pay 6,500 for somebody who has the kind of downside like that. So you can maybe throw him in a GPP. I mean, those are really the only 4 plays I'm going to look at on the Sacramento side of things, but they're all GPP plays for me.
I believe that the narrative here is Bjelica came from Minnesota. Did he not?
Oh, he did actually, yeah.
So there's quite a bit of narrative there. Never quite got the playing time or the opportunity to become a starter. They went out and got Jimmy Butler. We know Bjelica was a quality value play whenever he was going to start. But the guy you missed that I'd be remiss if we just got off the video and didn't mention him is Iman Shumpert, man. To me, I like to streamline plays, both in NFL and NBA DFS. I love the streamline plays. I take a look at what Josh Hart did last night, out there on the perimeter, knocking down shots. We know Shumpert is a really good shooter. He's been a good shooter for the majority of his career. It's always been about minutes with this guy, right? Well, take a look. 29, 24, 24, 26 at $3,700. I really like Shumpert tomorrow night as a value play. I think that this guy, depending on what news shakes out, this guy could be my top pump play tomorrow night for 2 reasons. Price and opportunity is 1, and then number 2, it's a late night hammer, an opportunity to have a guy who could possibly go 6 or 7x at 3,700. So this is a guy that I really wanted to mention if you didn't get to him in that Shumpert.
Yeah, no, I definitely mean punt play. We always got to try to find one nowadays because of the new rule where it gets rid of the score. So, what you think, Jeremy? Do you want to run this optimizer real quick? I'll run it, just kind of show them kind of what it's coming out early, or we're not going to do that. What do you think?
No, run it, man. We're this far into it. They bought the ticket, right? Let them see it.
Here, I got you real quick here. So this is kind of, and I don't want people to try to put these lineups in and come back tomorrow and say, oh, those lineups are bad, because this is the night before. We're still waiting on a lot of news tomorrow. Obviously, there's not totals on a bunch of games because of this, okay? So let's see what we got. Early look at what the optimizer is popping up with looking at tomorrow. So they like Ben Simmons, guy we touched on. Magruder, he was a guy I really, really liked. I talked about. He's in both lineups so far. Jeremy Lamb. It's actually not too bad. Blake Griffin's a really good play against Atlanta. Out and Whiteside. So there's a couple of plays that are in both lines, and there's a kind of some they're paying up on some spots and not the other. So not bad though. Which one you like better so far out of these two? I'm just curious.
I'm gonna go with our first one. You got Ben Simmons in there, Oladipo, Josh Richardson, Blake Griffin. That's a really solid lineup, man. Especially with Olynyk. There's a couple things you could take that lineup and do. And why you got it up there? Use the optimizer for multiple things, man. One of the coolest things to do with it is to do 150 lineups and load it into a cheap tournament like the 25 cent. That's fun. But also take the optimizer, man. And for right now, one of the best things to do is use it as a guide, right? Use it as a guide, and you see the lineup it generated out there. You could literally take that, plug that lineup in, and then maybe take out Alex Lynn that's in there, and maybe plug in a guy like a Shumpert as your shooting guard number 2, and pay up a little bit at that center spot. But use that thing as a guide, because that's the best thing you can do when you're trying to optimize lineups. That's one of the best things that you're trying to use it for, is to try to give you a guide on how you want to start your actual manual builds.
Yeah. So, hey, I think that's about all we got for our NBA morning shoot around for Friday, November 9th. I'll be back tomorrow with my NBA core plays for Friday. For tomorrow, Jeremy will be back with his GPP core plays over there on the DFS Cheat Sheet YouTube channel. Make sure and go check out that YouTube channel and subscribe to it as well. Jeremy runs that YouTube channel. Thanks for checking us out, man. I love doing these slate breakdowns. They're a lot of fun. You see all the tools that we have coming through, and we're building on a lot more every single day. we're expanding as a company, and thank you guys for being a part of it. And I think that we're about out, bro. So, hey, thanks again. Peace out.